Hi, everyone. And my name is Susan Callahan, and welcome to our, I'm going to say this with air quotes, official mentorship launch Zoom. My name is Susan Callahan, and I'm really happy that you're here. We have about 40 people in the room. We're going to try and keep this to 1 hour. We're going to try and keep this worth your time at all points. If you have a question while we're doing this presentation, please put them in the chat, and both Elizabeth and myself and Rob and your team will make sure that we answer them. So let's welcome Kathryn Davy. Kathryn is the education chair. If you don't know about the education committee, she'll tell you a little bit about it. But Kathryn Davy, the mentorship program falls under SAQA Education. Thank you, Kathryn, for showing up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathryn Davy. I'm the chair, of the SAQA Education Committee. And on our committee, we have mentorship program. We have the seminar program, which is launching next week. And we have educational events. And we also have the special interest group, all under our umbrella. So the first thing I'd like to say is, number one, we're always looking for really new volunteers for the Education Committee. If you're interested, we'd love to have you. Number two, we'd love you to sign up for seminar, which starts now. You can register now, and it goes on for the next 8 or 10 weeks, and it's Tool Talk this year. But mostly I'm here today to really honor and respect what's happening in the mentorship program. I'm very impressed by the program that Susan Callahan and Robin Jones and Elizabeth Berger have put together. They put so much time and effort into the thoughtful nature of this program and the matching and the goals and objectives. So I'm really looking forward to today and meeting you all. And I just want to say how proud I am of the team for being such a positive force for SAQA. Thank you. I'm glad I'm here today.
Thank you, Kathryn. I'm very lucky. A couple of years ago, I stepped into the shoes of somebody else who was doing this. And then somebody said to me, well, you need help. And Elizabeth Berger and Robin Jones also stepped up. And we have a really great team. We work really well together. And we really like what we're doing. And meeting all of you. And I see that there are 50 people in the room. And that just makes me crazy happy. So let's start a little bit. Let's talk about what to expect. Here we are. So just a little bit, when you heard from the SAQA mentor team, we had 48 mentees and 48 slots. So you would hear from Elizabeth or Robin or me. And so when you have questions, it's probably best to go back to the person that originally contacted you. And then we talk at least, well, recently we talked every week, but now we'll talk maybe once a month. So here's your team. This is who we are. Elizabeth lives in outside of Baltimore, and Robin lives in northern Washington State. I think it's Bellingham. So we crossed the country. Oh, and I live on the other side of the country in southern Delaware. So let's talk about what to expect about mentorship. When we are recruiting mentors, a lot of mentors will say to us, or a lot of SAQA artists will say to us, I don't think I'm got all that much to offer. And I always say, yes, you do. My background is in higher education. And I was lucky enough that when I was teaching 3rd and 4th year university students, I taught non-traditional students. So the average age was 27. So what is mentorship? Is a relationship with two people, and the mentor is walking alongside of you, helping you make decisions about moving forward. Okay, so it's someone who maybe will hold your hand and maybe will kind of shake your hand and say, get with it. You know, this is what you want to do. This is what you said you wanted to do, and kind of be your face of reality about moving forward as an artist. So that is what mentorship is. It's a walk with someone. It might be a shepherd to a little lamb. But what it's not is it's not someone who's going to teach you how to screen print. It's not someone who's going to, not necessarily, I'll say not necessarily, because every mentor is different. It's not someone who's going to teach you about, oh, my watch is talking to me. It's not someone who's going to teach you about composition, line, shapes, color. It's not someone who's going to teach you a skill set or a method. But in your relationship, you might emulate that person. You might ask to learn about what they're doing, but it is not someone who's going to teach you a one-on-one class in dyeing or indigo. And then we also have roles and responsibilities. So let's just talk about the roles and responsibilities first. So as I said, a mentor is having an advocate, an accountability partner. We like that word. It helps the mentee stand up to what they're supposed to, what they say they want to do. It's also somebody you can ask. It should be a trusting relationship where you can ask critical and difficult questions, like, what direction do I really want to go? And do I really want to explore a whole series of quilts about watches? And you can have that conversation. Someone who review your goals with you, and we'll talk about goals a little bit next, and someone who will give you advice and guidance. It's one person who will give you advice and guidance. So your mentor is someone who you are going to learn to trust, but it's also just one person. So, people can give you an advice and guidance and you can say, nah, not going to do that, move ahead. And you will grow as an artist because of that. It's someone to bounce those questions off of. And here's the best part. It's someone to encourage and cheer you on. It's your cheerleader. It's when you make an accomplishment, whatever that happens to be, that person is going to be there to celebrate your success. So as I said, your mentor isn't going to teach you new skills necessarily. They're not going to do the research for you when you say, I want to have a solo show in Albuquerque, New Mexico, because your mentor may not be in Albuquerque, New Mexico, or somewhere in Washington State. You have to do that research, and you can come back to your mentor and say, hey, I've just found 3 galleries that might have had fiber in the past. So you have to do that. You're going to do that work. It's not someone who's going to write your goals for you. When we sent out the application, we asked the mentees to list their goals. So what's going to happen, I hope, in the next 90 days is your mentor is going to say, okay, you've got 10 goals. Let's look at 3. And then you're going to write some mini goals to help you to get there. And the mentor's not going to tell you what to do or how to do it. It's really just your advocate. So for the mentees, I've said what it isn't. So here's what you need to do. The way we set this up is we really want the mentee to drive the process, not the mentor. The mentee has to be proactive to nurture that relationship. The mentee has to reach out and say, I'd like to meet once a month on Monday at 2:00, or I'd like to meet whatever that is. And yes, I have Zoom. Do you have Zoom? I have a Zoom account. I'll contact you. You're the one who's driving this process. The mentee needs to set SMART goals. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. Come prepared and be on time. Now, we all know, we're all grown ups. We all know that life gets in the way. But if you set a monthly time with your mentor, the mentor has put aside time for you, and you need to honor that. So and you also need to make reasonable progress towards your goals. Again, we try and say this when you're applying. We expect you to put in a lot of time every month. Maybe it's 3 hours a week. Maybe it's 10 hours a month. Maybe it's 10 hours a week. But you're here to do this work. So also as a mentee, you need to bring an open mind to a different perspective. Very often we try to match the mentee and mentor with different backgrounds. And some mentors will say to me, I really think I need to work with somebody who does this. And I'll say, try doing it this way, because I think everybody grows from that. We're all grown-ups, and we've all decided this is how we want to spend our time, our talent, our treasure. So we need to be open to different perspectives for us to learn, and be open to constructive feedback. All of our mentors know how to give constructive feedback, and then be honest about the challenges that you're facing. Life happens, people get ill, grandchildren and children need care, a job falls apart. We understand that. but you're here now. And so we want you to succeed. We really want you to succeed by following through, by setting some SMART goals. So this little graphic talks about it. When I was talking to the team earlier, I said, we all know what SMART goals are, but let's just put it out there one more time. A SMART goal, S-M-A-R-T, is specific. So you can't say, I want a solo show. You might say, I want a solo show in Albuquerque. I don't know why I'm picking Albuquerque other than I like it. It's measurable. So I would say, I want a solo show in Albuquerque within the next 2 years. It's achievable. If you don't have a series or a body of work to put into it, you have to set those little mini goals about how am I going to achieve a portfolio to go to these galleries to submit for a solo show. Timely and measurable seem to work together. Measurable is I need to make 10 quilts to get into a solo show, or 15. Timely is I need to do it in the next 2 years. I need to do it your time. It's your timetable. And realistic. You know, I have met many people in SAQA who blow me away with their SMART goals. And one of them is in the room right now, who was able to pull together, I think, 8 solo shows in an 18-month time period. Blows me away. I would say that's not realistic for this girl, but it is realistic for many people. So to my mentors, bring your experience and your expertise. And I'm telling you, you have it. Because you've all performed, you've all done the work, I've talked to most of all of you. So you just bringing your experience, and it's going to be tapped, and all of a sudden an answer is going to come out of you that you didn't know you had. And it's going to be great because you're going to say, oh yeah, I knew that. Listen actively and be curious. Sometimes it's easy to dismiss somebody with less experience and just say, oh, they need more experience. But be curious about how you can help that person become a little more experienced. And here's the really easy and hard one. Ask open-ended questions. Why did you do that? How did you do that? And what are you going to do next? Those are my 3 favorite questions. Be a friend and be a trusted guide. So when I spoke to the mentors first, when we sent out mentor information, we sent you a couple of documents. If you didn't get it from me, I'll send it again. Just email me and I'll send it. It's about how do you start that conversation? How do you start just listening? Because you do need to build a level of trust right away. The fact that you're in this relationship and you've gone through this process, we know you're already there, but in getting to know somebody else, it should take you, I don't know, a month or 2. And then follow through. If you say you're going to do something, you know, if you say you're going to do something for them, if you say, hey, I know somebody in Albuquerque, New Mexico, let me have you talk to them, please do it. So that's really what the mentor responsibilities are. They're almost the same and very different all at the same time. So one of my favorite people on the planet, and I have lots of favorite people, but Susan Lapham is somebody that just blows me away by her skill level, by her artistic talent, and by her willingness to share. Susan, are you with us? Oh no.
I'm here.
Hey. Okay, you were muted. So Susan
I'm mented too.
Yeah, no, Susan, you're not. You, again, Susan, 8 shows in 2 years? 8 shows in 1 year?
6 solos and 2 small group in 18 months.
Wow. So that is a reasonable goal for Susan. Lapham, not a reasonable goal for Susan Callahan. So I asked Susan if she could talk about, first of all, she was a mentee and what to expect, how to walk into this process, how to embrace it, and how to get the most out of it. And then maybe also some comments about being a mentor, because this is her 2nd year with SAQA being a mentor. Take it away, Susan.
Can I share screen and show some?
Yep. Let me
Yes, you're all set.
It says I can't while this is
Okay,
being shared.
I'm stopping the share. Stop share. There you go.
Just give me a sec. All right, can you all see my mentoring slide?
Yep.
Yes.
So I'm just I think I have 4 slides altogether. I'm gonna talk a little bit about my experience primarily as a mentee, but I wanted to say that out of all of the things that are possible in this art world that we're all in, I think mentoring is my favorite thing. I love the one-on-one relationship. I love being able to get to know people more in depth. And so I have been a mentor for SAQA. This is my 2nd year, but I've been a mentor prior to that in my research field for a long time. And then I also was a mentee. So I wanted to share a little bit about that experience. So here are a few things about why I like mentoring. I like a lot that it's a partnership. It's a give and take. It's both people sharing. We're sharing our skills and talents, experiences, and expertise. I think it is a two-way street. I learn just as much from my mentees as I hope that they learn from me. I love also that there's this focus on growth and development. We have a specific thing that we want to accomplish over a period of time. And it's really on having that growth happen and figuring out how to make that happen. And I love that it's this investment in time and energy and thought. And it's so interesting to get into other people's minds and to think about what they're thinking about and what's important to them, and you know what they want to do, and brainstorm how to help make that happen. So it's all about action. And I put a picture here of me and my grandma, because I often think of her as my very first mentor. She's the person that taught me how to use a sewing machine, and then basically said, "You can do it." Let me go. And then the sewing machine was mine. So thank you, Grandma. So one of the differences about my mentee experience and the SAQA mentee experience is that this was a number of years back, and I reached out and selected my own mentee, and some of the things that my own mentor, and some of the things I was thinking about when I was thinking about, well, who would I select as my mentor? I wanted someone who I admired for their accomplishments in this field. I wanted them to have a willingness to connect both with me and to help make connections sort of in our field, in our network. Susan mentioned this as well, that it's really important if you say, oh, I know a person at that museum or that museum, and I can reach out to them, that as a mentor, that we do that to help our mentees. I also wanted someone who was incredibly honest and direct and would provide constructive feedback, you know, whether that was about my bio or about my work. I just wanted them to be honest. I didn't want someone to just pat me on the head and say, oh, great work, or whatever. You know, I really wanted that in-depth feedback. I also wanted someone who was very positive, who had a positive outlook on life, who believed in themselves and in me and in our art world, someone who's enthusiastic, motivational, also someone who is empathetic for those times, as Susan mentioned, when, you know, someone is sick in the family, or you know, something happens and you don't meet a specific goal, that somebody who has empathy for real life. And then, of course, I wanted a mentor who had experience in the art quilt world. So I just want to be very clear for those of you who recognize this person in the picture. This is Nancy Crow, and I have studied with Nancy Crow, but Nancy Crow was not my mentor when I went through this process of selecting a mentor at the time. One of the most important things about the mentor-mentee relationship is having the mentee set goals. And when I first met with my mentor, I had a list of sort of 3 focus areas that I wanted to work on with her. And I had 10 goals. Sorry, Susan, I did have 10 goals. So the first one was all about my voice. I felt like I had a fairly strong voice, but I really wanted it to be clarified. And I wanted in particular help with my website in figuring out how to present my work in stories or in sections or in portfolios, whatever you want to call it, so that it would be much clearer who I am as an artist. The second thing that I wanted help with is getting my work out there. And for me, this is the hardest part of being an artist. And I know that some people might not believe that at this point, but it was especially, 10 years ago, I was very, very shy and had a very hard time thinking of myself as an artist. And so there were a number of things. So I needed to figure out how to make a switch from a Vita or my research resume to an artist resume. I had no clue what an artist resume should look like. I wanted help working on my artist statement. And again, no clue what, I'd heard that term, didn't know what it was. So I needed to figure that out. Developing a bio, what's important. Again, I knew what was important in the research world in a bio that would help me get a grant, but I didn't know what that meant in the art world. I wanted help getting started on a website. Again, there's so many websites out there, and what was important to me and to help get my work out there in developing a website. I also wanted to develop a social media presence. I was never on Facebook, never on Instagram, didn't really know what those things were all about, really questioned the value of social media. And, I still struggled with that to some extent, but I needed help getting there to even get an Instagram account. And then I also wanted to talk about the pros and cons of joining an exhibiting art group. So there are a lot of groups out there who exhibit every other month or every quarter. And I was very curious about them and how do you become part of one, or do I even want to become part of one? So that was another thing in sort of this category of how to get my work out there. And then I still struggle with this one, is I needed help deciding what I want to be when I grow up. So I figured out over the years things that I don't want to do, but I still ask myself all the time, what do I want to be when I grow up as an artist? So at the time, we talked about the pros and cons of becoming a SAQA juried artist. What did that mean? What did it entail? What were the benefits of it? At the time, also, I was thinking about setting up a dye studio and dyeing my own fabric. And what did that mean? And could you make any money from it? And those kinds of questions. And then this is the one I still struggle with. Do I lecture? Do I teach? What are the benefits of those two things? For me, it's always, how much sweat am I going to have pouring down my back because I'm so nervous giving a lecture versus, actually giving the lecture. And there's no way I would teach because I'm just too nervous about it. So I know that about myself. So that, as I said, these are things I still struggle with, but really helped to work with a mentor to talk through the pros and cons of teaching and lecturing. So those are my goals. So what did I gain from my year with a mentor? I did work with a mentor for a year, and she was amazing. And I can tell you, the person I worked with was Lisa Walton. She's on the other side of the world from me. We made it work. She's in Australia. She was a former president of SAQA, and she was just amazing. And she did all of those things that I wanted out of a mentor, particularly the constructive feedback. So she did give me advice on my body of work. and really encouraged me to keep going with my working in a series. She gave me strategies for entering art cult exhibits, which I think has been pretty wonderful so far. She gave me the confidence to call myself an artist. She had a belief in me that I could do great things. And when you have someone who believes in you, you can do it. You really can. And then she gave me this broader perspective on the art cult world. It was fascinating to work with her, particularly learning about the SAQA culture and all of the different volunteer activities that happen in the SAQA world. So she was great. And then she also used her connections. I mean, she knows so many people, and she really did use those connections and helped introduce me to people that have gotten me where I am today. And she's a friend for life. So with that, do you want me to take questions now, Susan, or later?
I think so. I think that's a great idea. I think,
Thank you.
I think let's try hands up, and if you have a question, if you raise your hand, I'll try and make that happen. Of course. I don't see a hand up right away.
Tasha has a spotlight here. You're muted.
Tasha. You're muted, Tasha.
Can you hear me?
No. Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, thank you so much. Your information was fabulous. So I guess I'm always wanting to make sure I do things right and just honor my mentor. So one of the things, like you mentioned, a lot of the stuff that maybe not have to do with creating the art, but the questions about how to write a bio, is that okay to ask my mentor?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your mentor's not going to write it for you.
Correct.
You know, I had one written and I said, these are my concerns about it. These are my questions about it. So I brought it to the meeting and said,
okay.
What's your feedback?
Tasha, you can ask me anything.
Oh, good. Is that Phyllis?
Yeah.
Hi, I can't see your picture because I'm on my stupid phone, which I will not do a Zoom meeting again. So thank you. So, yeah, that's pretty.
I've been a mentor for a few years now, and you know, I have no problem with anything. Think of me as your best friend who happens to have some experience in all of this stuff. And you know, if you want to ask what kind of refreshments to bring to the opening night of your
I love that.
reception, whatever, I don't care. I totally.
I love that. Well, thank you. Thank you. And the information's great. And I really am excited about going through this process.
Who else has a question? Or who else wants to piggyback on anything I said? Any of my mentors out there, Phyllis or Holly? I see, who else do I see up there? Would anybody else want to piggyback on what it's like to be a mentor or a mentee? Holly, you've been both now. You've been a mentee and a mentor this year. Do you have anything to add? You're muted.
I'm just starting the mentor kind of relationship, which I'm very excited about. The mentee end of it, I couldn't have had more fun. I'm deeply grateful to my mentor forever. She changed the nature of the direction of my work and gave me terrific feedback on all of the sort of resume and bio and professional paperwork that helps keep your life sane when you are an addict for entering calls for entry altogether. I have not hit all my professional goals by a long shot, but I've had enough battle experience to feel like I can give some advice on stuff. So it's going to be an interesting journey for me as a mentor.
So to some of you mentees and new and first-time mentors, I know Holly very well, and I twisted her arm to be a mentor. Holly was a college professor before she also came to SAQA Art World. So she knows how to mentor. And I will also sing Holly's praises in that for the couple of years that I've known her, she also went out and said, these are going to be my goals. This is what I want to do, and did them. She really, and so setting those goals, I'm a big proponent of writing down your goals and looking at them frequently, because when you do that, they are something that is real. I mean, I don't know who said it, unless you write it down, it's a dream. Once you write it down, it becomes a goal or a wish or something like that. Somebody smarter than me said that. How about another question? How about a question from another mentee? I'm an old teacher, I'll call on you. How about Molly? I see you there, Molly, over there hiding, lurking. Oh, and then
Jan has a comment.
Okay, hi, Jan.
Yeah, hi. Susan, I enjoyed your presentation, and I wanted to know, I think you said that you got to choose your mentor. Is that correct? And
yeah, I did not go, this mentor that I talked about, Lisa Walton, it was not through the SAQA Mentorship Program. It was, this was so long ago, it was probably before the SAQA Mentorship Program even existed. So it's a little bit different in that I was able to select my own mentor. And I just wanted to be upfront about that.
Okay, no problem. You know how much I love your work. We met in San Diego.
Yeah, thank you, Jen.
Will you be my mentor? I need one.
Well, as long as we brought that question up, I thought I would talk a little bit, and Elizabeth, you can chime in here, or Robin, if you're in the room. Basically, we look at your application and we look at zip code, time zones, and we try and find a way for you to meet someone, whether you the mentor or you the mentee. We try and find a way to first see, is it halfway around the world? Are we going to have someone, when I first got in here, someone's in New Zealand. And if somebody's in New Zealand and somebody else is in Canada, that might be hard. So we try and look for opportunities where they're well placed, timely placed. We also try and find languages. I mean, there are non-English or non-American speaking mentors and mentees, and we do want to find a match for someone who speaks the language. We never want the fact that you don't speak English or American English to be a preventative. Again, SAQA is a wonderful organization. We have SAQAs all over the world. We have mentors all over the world. So we try and find someone who's within a couple of time zones from you as well, or someone who definitely speaks your language. And of course, it's always about what does the mentee want to achieve, and defining your voice, working on your bio, things like that. They're pretty high on the list for most people. In the past, I've had someone who wanted to publish a book, which was not a 12-month program. It was somebody that they had an offer. They just wanted to talk to somebody else who's published a book and help them through that process. So we had a little conversation, and I reached out I said, well, what are other authors that you admire, and who else is in that publishing house? And I reached out to one of those artists and said, can you do a short-term mentor with this person? And it was a very specific goal in mind, and I think it worked really well. I think that person has gotten their book published in that time. So we try and match. What we don't do is we don't say, okay, this person is illustrative, and we need to find an illustrator to do that. We don't match styles. We don't. We want the perspective to be fresh. We want the mentor's experience to be not only about what they can do, but to look at each other with just a very critical eye. If everybody does pieced work, we want another perspective. So if you have somebody whose style is radically different than yours, that's not a bad thing. That's something that you can both learn together. And as Holly said, Holly said it and Susan said it, you're going to learn from each other along the way. The mentor learns. I, as a mentor, have learned as much from my mentees as I've ever learned all on my own. It's just a great experience. Let's have another question. Anybody?
Maybe Cynthia, she's unmuted.
Okay.
I don't really have a question. Am I late to the meeting? Did it just start at 1:30 Mountain Time, or have you guys been going for a while?
We started at the top of the hour. Sorry, Cynthia. I can send you the we're recording it. I can send you the full recording. We started at the top of the hour.
Okay, okay.
So Cynthia, got you on the spot. Are you a mentee?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us give us a goal that you're thinking of that you think is going to be something you want to work on this year.
Well, there were a couple that I had mentioned in the application, and the first is I would like to write an article, maybe something that I could submit to the SAQA Journal or Art Quilters or something of that line. I don't consider myself a proficient writer or a good writer, so I would like to be pushed in that direction a little bit, and I also consider maybe working toward becoming a JAM.
Great. Anybody who's a juried artist here want to talk about the process? Go ahead, Susan.
So I actually have been on the juried artist committee for the past couple of years, and this year I'm on the review panel. So I've experienced that from both sides of the coin also. I think that that one of the most important things in thinking about applying for the juried artist status is making sure you read all of the directions. And I would repeat that like 10 times, like read it again, read it again, read it again, and make sure you're following all the directions. So a lot of people who apply don't get accepted because their photography is really amateurish. And we require professional photography of your work. If you're going to be showing it to a gallery or showing it, applying to a museum, you want to put your best professional foot forward. So having great photography is really important. Another thing that's very important is having a body of work, a cohesive body of work. So what it isn't is a showcase of technique. So what we're looking for is that you're a real practicing artist who has a well-defined voice and who has a body of work. I don't know, that's probably good enough for now, but I strongly encourage people to apply for the juried artist. It's a lot of instructions to follow.
So if I could say, oh, go ahead.
So that does lead me to a question. So say that I do fill out the application, I go through the whole process, and I am rejected. Will somebody tell me what needs to be improved, what wasn't acceptable, what was acceptable, that type of thing? Yes?
Yeah, we just revamped the pages on the website about the juried artist application, and we've even added a step this time where you can fill out the application and ask for the committee to review the application. So this isn't the review panel reviewing the application, it's the committee. Just to make sure you have all the pieces there. So they'll give you feedback on the application. If you apply and the review panel reviews the application, there are criteria that are listed on the website that are reviewed. So one of them is the body of work. Is the portfolio consistent? Is it strong? Is it, does it have good composition and design? Those kinds of things. All of those factors that the review panel evaluates are listed on the website. And then you'll get feedback specific to those those factors. So if your photos aren't great, say you have pins showing on photo 6 out of the 7 photos you submit, the feedback will tell you that, pins showing on photo 7. Please get professional photography.
Phyllis has her hand up. Phyllis, can you go? You can go ahead. You're muted, Phyllis.
Yeah. Well, just as an aside to the juried artist thing, don't feel bad if you are rejected. My my co-author and co-teacher, who has had several solo shows and has been in several of the SAQA shows, and has been a judge and has all of the qualifications, keeps getting rejected. So there may be something in the process. Don't feel bad if that happens to you, because it's obviously not just based on your professionalism, it's based on whatever their criteria is. So as Susan is saying, if you want to be a juried artist, she's given up because apparently she can't figure out what it is that they want. So don't feel bad about it, first of all. Also, in terms of entering shows or submitting work or publishing, again, hopefully your mentor will be somebody who can help you understand that not getting into a particular show or having your work not be what can I say, purchased, rejected, dismissed, criticized, anything should be looked at as a way to go forward and to fix it. Your work is not you, and hopefully your mentor will be able to help you understand that your work is something you work on. It is not a rejection of you as a person. You have all sorts of other skills and so on. And all of these things that we're talking about are skills that you can learn. You can, if you're having trouble with photography, you can take a course on photography. We can, your mentor may be able to point you toward YouTubes that will explain to you what a high resolution versus a low resolution picture is, or you may be able to, we may be able to talk about that. Your mentor may not be an expert in photography, but may just be able to encourage you to look for those things and how to look for information, because none of us are experts in everything. But sometimes when you're looking at your own work and you can't figure out, what is it that I'm doing that, and you get frustrated, that's the piece that you threw across the room and went out and had, chocolate ice cream because you couldn't figure out what to do. It's possible that your mentor may be able to say, well, what I'm seeing here is thus and so, or maybe talk about the principles of art and say, well, you want your focal point to be here, but in actual fact, you do know that focal points are the place where there's the highest amount of contrast, and you can look at that. So you may be able to learn, we may be able to discuss principles of art. We may be able to evaluate your work. Don't feel bad about having your mentor evaluate your work. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of the fact that, somebody else with a fresh set of eyes can see things. As far as writing bios, as far as writing all that, that's pretty standard stuff. Most of us, I've been a mentor for several years now. We're happy to read what you have and critique it. We're happy to look at your work and critique it. We're happy to look at your website or even suggest to you what websites are easiest to set up on your own. So all of these things are things that are available. So if you can't think of it, ask your mentor, is there something that you think I should be asking? Because you may not have all the questions. You may be coming into this and someone just told you right now that you need to have goals and questions, and you say, I don't know what I need. Your mentor may be able to help you with that, especially those of us who've been mentoring for a while, because, let's face it, we all face the same things. We all have to present our work. We all have to get it photographed well. We all have to think about, what we say to a gallery owner to get our work in there and so on. And if your mentor can't answer it, see if they can recommend somebody else, because the other thing I have found is that most of us are happy to answer a question, even if I'm not your mentor. If your mentor thinks that I might be able to answer your question, do feel free about sending me an email and saying, I know that you've written a couple of books. What have you found? How, what formatting program do you use or something? So I think as mentors in this group, we're all sort of a committee of mentors for you. So it's not just that you have one mentor. Your mentor may be able to refer you to somebody else. So there's a lot of knowledge out there. Most of us have taken on being mentors because we love sharing knowledge. We're mostly teachers. We mostly, we've done all the things. We've set up exhibits. We've applied to things. We've entered things. We've sometimes been rejected. Everybody's had some rejections, and we've all dealt with these things. So feel free to be open-ended about it as well.
So I want to thank you, Phyllis. Phyllis is a great mentor, by the way, and Phyllis and I are in a group together, and she's really good at what she does. I want to say a couple of things. And my screen behind me, many of you have talked about entering shows and getting into SAQA shows and things like that. And that is just like riding a bicycle. You just have to practice. You have to suck it up and do it, and you will be rejected. The piece behind me was rejected from a very important show. And I was devastated because I thought it was beautiful and perfect. I still think it's beautiful and perfect. And I entered into another show and it won Best in Show. So just because you're rejected from one venue doesn't mean your work isn't wonderful. And I've actually had that happen to me twice in the past 4 years, that I've had a piece rejected from a show and go on to win a very nice award in another venue. So it is just, starting with the regional SAQA shows, whatever it is, your region is an unbelievable, wonderful source. Susan said that she went to her mentor specifically. Just because you have one mentor doesn't mean you cannot find someone that you admire and say, can I ask you a couple of questions? And email them. I think everybody in SAQA is so wonderful about sharing. And so and even if you're not a Facebook person, Facebook, even if you use Facebook for SAQA members only, it's another wonderful resource where you can ask a question and get a dozen responses within probably 8 hours. So that said, for the mentors, I think Elizabeth has brought you, contacted you. There is a Facebook mentors only page.
I have not contacted them, but I will.
Yeah, that is.
I've not done that. I will do that.
Yet? Okay, well, she'll do that. So that's specifically for the mentors to communicate within each other about looking for support, because maybe there is a question. I've been a teacher long enough that if I don't know the answer, I'm really comfortable saying, I don't know that answer, but I'll help you find the answer. Okay. And so this is a place for mentors only. For you artists who are mentees, we don't do that for you because you do have the members only. We don't really want to have all of these things. Use SAQA members only. If you find someone who's, you can ask, hey, I'm looking for anybody in the Pacific Northwest in the mentor program this year. I'd love to hook up with you. And that's one way to find other mentors. And if you meet somebody in passing in your regional meetings, just so you know, SAQA has a member website, has a member directory, so you can find members that way as well. We try and put as many resources available for the mentors, and also, an opportunity, as Kathryn said in the very beginning, please attend the seminar. The information, I'm not on that committee, but they work for a solid year to present wonderful information. And so if you want to know about everything from seam rippers to silk, it's going to be on that website in one of those SAQA seminars. They did one specifically on materials, and this time it's on tools. It's just really worth your while. And I just stole somebody's thunder because they were supposed to make that announcement. Are there any other questions? I want to move on. to,
I have a question.
I want to bring this into some kind of summary. Are there any other questions that anybody has to ask?
A question.
A question?
Okay, who's first?
Mary Underwood has been
Okay.
waiting a while.
Okay, I just have a general question. I missed the first couple of minutes, so I saw this is being recorded. Is it going to be posted on the website?
No, if just send me a quick email and I'll send it to you. I'm not going to send
Okay,
it
so
to
it's-
everybody, but I'm going to, because I see almost everybody is here. So if you came in late, please just
Okay.
email me and I'll send it to you.
Okay, and now I think I've forgotten my other question. Oh, how many mentors and mentee partnerships are there?
So we
This
have
time.
wonderful mentors. I think we have, Elizabeth, please help, 45 mentors this time. 45
I think
mentors.
45, 46, yes.
Yeah, and we
Okay.
That's just this year.
that's just this year. We matched 50 people.
Yeah.
So there's some fabulous mentors taking 2 and 3 and 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a wonderful giving group. You guys, you're gonna have a great time. You know, you're gonna be
Yeah.
challenged and have a great time.
I
Yeah.
counted in this morning. I'm sorry. We have 35 mentors and 52 mentees.
Yeah. It's great.
Wow.
It's great.
So there's quite a number of mentors that have more than one mentee.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, hi, Robin.
Sorry.
Anything else?
I have a question.
I have a
Susan, were you done presenting?
I am done presenting, I think.
No, Susan Lapham. With Susan Lapham done
Susan Lapham,
presenting.
oh.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, I was going to bring another screen up, but I don't think we have to. With Robin sitting here, Robin, this is Robin Jones, and Elizabeth has been in the background. Robin, do you want to talk about anything at this moment? Or
No, I need to watch the
recording.
recording. I'm very embarrassed and I'm very sorry.
Lori has a question.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes. You mentioned volunteer work. Is there a place on the SAQA website about volunteer opportunities that I've missed? Or is it just one person to contact if you're interested?
Well, if you're interested in education, so if you look at the committees, you can, there's all kinds of committees. You could talk to Kathryn Davy, email Kathryn Davy if you're interested in education, and then, you know, and attend a meeting and you'll see all the little subcommittees and say, this is where I think I want to be. And there's exhibition committees and I don't know what, there's lots of committees that you can join.
there are regional opportunities.
Oh yeah, absolutely regional opportunities. Where are you?
Within the organization itself. Yeah.
Where are you?
Lori, I'm going to send you my email in a direct comment in the chat to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
Lori, where are you? You're in Texas?
I'm in Texas primary and New York is secondary.
So again, you know, the best way to start, because it's your home, is start in home. Talk to your area representative and see what you can do for them. The stronger your region is, the better your experience is going to be as a whole. But I gotta say, I've been on the education committee now for I think 4 years, and I have learned so much and had a blast. Kathryn's been a great leader. She's been around for 2 years, and Dolores before that. So
Can I also mention the special interest groups?
yeah.
Okay, this is another area that I think has been really very educational and helpful to people. I'm one of the co-administrators of the long arm special interest group, for example. So we have people who are interested in maybe quilting on a long arm or interested in finding out what you can do with a long arm besides just quilting and so on. And our meetings involve videos where people demonstrate all of these things and so on. There are also special interest groups for people interested in the cutting machines. There are special interest groups in many different areas. So these are on the website, and I really encourage you to get involved in those. It's like, you know, I mean, it will really supplement your mentee experience to learn about those things, anything you're interested in. I think there's one on just evaluating contemporary art. It's all sorts of stuff. And, you know, so look at those.
Thanks, Phyllis. So Elizabeth, why don't you send us home? Give us some
Okay.
announcements.
Announcements. Okay. Two things you should take away. Kathryn also mentioned the SAQA Tool Talk, SAQA seminars coming up. It begins January 29th. If you sign into SAQA website, do a Google, do a search. There's a search right at the top, SAQA seminar. You can sign up. It is free. It goes through March 29th. It's wonderful. And also SAQA conference this year will be April 12th through 20th. It is online. You can also sign up for the SAQA conference. Special speakers, many good things, a lot of people, both excellent.
Thank you. Kathryn, is there anything that you want to add before we send everybody on their way?
No, I just really appreciate you talking about seminar, and I'm just really excited about the exuberance you guys show in your program. I look forward to hearing good things all about the relationships that you guys build. Thank you for such a positive feeling.
Great, thanks, Kathryn. What we will do is we'll probably do a 90-day check-in. So you can look for a you can look for an email from us in the next, well, probably in 2 months. And the 90-day check-in is simply just that, you know, to see how you're doing. Please don't wait for us. If you have questions, if you're a mentee and have questions about anything, if you're a mentor and need some resources. I just saw a question, how do I get on the mentor Facebook site? Kathryn, Elizabeth will send you an invitation from the site itself. Please don't wait. But what we would love is we would love pictures of the work that you and your mentees have done. Pictures, if you get to meet in person, please send us pictures. That very first screen was the pictures that we've gotten from other mentors and mentees. And so before I say goodbye and good luck, I'm just going to say one more time, is there anything that, any last question, burning question before we say thank you for joining us this time? Okay, then I really wish you a great experience. To all the mentors and mentees, have a great time and look for us in the next couple of months. Thank you. I'm about to close the door. Unless Robin and Elizabeth, do you want to talk when everybody leaves for a minute?
I do.
Okay, I'll stay here. So we'll.
Would you like to stop the recording?
Yes, thank you for reminding
Sure.
me.